Alexander the Great, the birth of a legend. Alexander the Great, one of the greatest figures in human history, was born in 356 BC in the Kingdom of Macedonia. From the moment of his birth, his life seemed tied to a grand destiny. He was the son of King Philip II, a brilliant strategist who had transformed Macedonia into a formidable military power, and Queen Olympias, who firmly believed her son carried the bloodline of the gods. That belief instilled in Alexander a deep awareness of a unique destiny. As a child, Alexander was tutored by Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of his time. Under his guidance, Alexander developed not only a sharp intellect, but also a vision that reached far beyond his homeland. Lessons in philosophy, science, politics, and the idea that a leader must hunger for both knowledge and glory were etched into the young man's mind. Thus, Alexander grew up not only as a warrior, but also as a thinker. At the age of 20, after the assassination of his father, Alexander suddenly ascended the Macedonian throne. Many doubted whether such a young man could hold the kingdom together. Yet, through talent, courage, and a burning ambition, he quickly silenced all doubts. This was not merely the rise of a new king, it was the beginning of a legend. A young man who believed he was born to conquer would indeed go on to change the world. The beginning in Greece. After the sudden death of King Philip II in 336 BC, Macedonia fell into turmoil. Alexander, only 20 years old, was still very young to bear the weight of a kingdom. His father's death ignited hopes of rebellion across Greece, as many city-states saw this as an opportunity to break free from Macedonian control. Athens, Thebes, and others began preparing uprisings, yet Alexander proved himself far beyond his years. Upon taking the throne, he acted with a speed and determination that stunned both enemies and allies. Within months, he marched south, reasserting his power over the Greek states. Any who resisted were met with severity, most notably Thebes, long a thorn in Macedonia's side. Its rebellion was crushed brutally. The city razed, thousands killed or enslaved. Though harsh, it sent a clear message. Those who defied Alexander would pay dearly. But Alexander was not only a man of force, he also showed skill in diplomacy, quickly summoning the Corinthian League, an alliance of Greek states, with himself as commander-in-chief. Under the banner of Greek unity, he not only consolidated Macedonian authority, but also awakened a shared purpose: war against their ancient enemy, the Persian Empire. From this moment, Alexander was no longer just a young king of Macedonia. He became the leader of all Greece, holding both power and legitimacy to embark on one of the greatest military campaigns in history. And this was only the beginning: conquering the Persian Empire. Once Greece was united under his banner, Alexander turned eastward, toward Persia, the vast empire that had long loomed over Greece like a shadow. With the aim of avenging past invasions and fulfilling his hunger for conquest, he launched his grand campaign. In 334 BC, Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor. The Battle of Granicus was his first test. The Persians were numerous but disorganized, while the Macedonian army was well-drilled. With bold tactics, Alexander personally led the charge, securing a decisive victory. It was not only a military triumph, but proof that even a seemingly invincible empire could be broken. A year later, at Issus, 333 BC, Alexander faced King Darius III himself. Though outnumbered, he used brilliant maneuvering to strike the Persian center, forcing Darius to flee. This victory opened the gates to Syria and the Near East, spreading Alexander's fame across the ancient world. He then advanced into Egypt, 332 BC, where the people, resentful of Persian rule, welcomed him as a liberator. Proclaimed pharaoh, he founded the city of Alexandria, which would later grow into the greatest cultural and intellectual center of antiquity. The climax came at Gaugamela, 331 BC. Facing Darius's massive army, Alexander remained composed, directing a decisive strike that shattered Persian lines. Once again, Darius fled, and the Persian Empire collapsed. From a young Macedonian king, Alexander had now become King of Asia, ruler of one of the largest empires of the ancient world. But his ambitions had not yet been satisfied. March to India. With Persia fallen, Alexander pressed onward. In his heart, the fire of conquest burned fiercely, driving him further east. He led his troops through the harsh lands of Central Asia, Bactria and Sogdiana, regions of towering mountains, endless deserts, and fierce tribes. There, he both fought and forged alliances, marrying Princess Roxana to secure ties with local rulers. By 326 BC, he entered India, facing a formidable opponent, King Porus of Punjab. The Battle of Hydaspes was among the most dramatic of Alexander's career. Torrential rains swelled the river, while Porus unleashed war elephants and chariots that stunned the Macedonian soldiers. Yet, with daring strategy, Alexander crossed the river in secret and struck from the flank, breaking the enemy's formation. After a fierce struggle, victory was his. What earned admiration was Alexander's treatment of Porus afterward. When asked how he wished to be treated, Porus replied, "Like a king." Deeply impressed, Alexander honored him, restoring his rule and appointing him as vassal. Though victorious, the march grew harder. After years of war, Alexander's soldiers, weary and longing for home, refused to advance further. Despite his will to press on, Alexander was forced to turn back. This was not a failure, but a reminder. Even the greatest of men cannot surpass the limits of human endurance. Thus ended the legendary march from Greece to India. The end of the journey. Unable to go further east, Alexander led his men back westward. The return was perilous. Across the deadly Gedrosian desert, tens of thousands perished. Yet the army endured, carrying with them spoils, new lands, and memories of an unprecedented campaign. By 323 BC, Alexander returned to Babylon. At just 32 years old, he now ruled an empire stretching from Greece to India. He was not only a conqueror, but also a builder, founding more than 20 cities named Alexandria, networks of trade, culture, and knowledge that bound east and west. Alexandria in Egypt became the crown jewel, the greatest center of learning in the ancient world. But fate struck suddenly. While preparing a new campaign into Arabia, Alexander fell gravely ill. Within days, his health collapsed, and in June 323 BC, the undefeated king drew his last breath in Babylon. The cause remains a mystery: fever, poisoning, or conspiracy. But his premature death left a void no one could fill. With no clear heir, his empire quickly fractured under his generals. Yet his legacy endured. The Hellenistic age spread Greek culture across the world, influencing art, science, architecture, and thought. His death marked the end of a short yet blazing journey, like a comet across the sky. Alexander lived as a legend and died as an eternal symbol of ambition and greatness. The epic meaning. Alexander the Great is remembered not just as a conqueror, but as a vivid symbol of youthful ambition and the will to achieve the impossible. In just over a decade, he created an empire stretching from the Mediterranean to the Indus River, a feat that astonished the ancient world. His footsteps were not only imprinted on battlefields, but carved into history as an epic saga. His greatness lay not only in territory won, but in forging unity out of diversity. He promoted the blending of Greek and Eastern cultures, laying the foundation for the Hellenistic age, a brilliant era of art, philosophy, science, and commerce. The cities he founded, especially Alexandria, became bridges between East and West, transforming a brief empire into an eternal legacy. What makes his story truly epic is the paradox of his life. A man invincible in battle, yet unable to escape the fragility of fate. His death at 32 immortalized him, leaving unanswered the haunting question: had he lived longer, could he have united the entire known world? Today, Alexander is not only remembered as a great conqueror, but also as a timeless symbol of human ambition, courage, and the pursuit of greatness. He stands as the embodiment of an eternal epic, where triumph, tragedy, and legacy intertwine into a story beyond time.